What's the good word, It's your boy DKB here. So we finally get a tally in the win column, and again, it has to be another, heartthrob type performance from the New York Jets. But what I will say is one of the things that stands out the most to me through these first two series, and really is not even a glimpse, but a good snapshot of what's happened over the course of Robert Saleh's tenure, no matter who the offensive coordinator has been or who the personnel in terms of the roster that we've had that's been on the field, is that it almost seems self-assured that we have a script that runs all the way up to halftime. And no matter what's happening successfully or failure-wise with that script, we 100% stick with it. Now, on one side of the token, I can respect that, right? Because there's plenty of wisdom out there in the fact that, the success for consistency is just around the corner. There's another thing, though, when it comes to just clear strategic decisions that are putting you at a disadvantage and you not being able to adjust to those decisions, right? Whether that be different personnel groupings you need to do. Maybe you need to run bigger formations with tight ends. Maybe you need to shrink it down and run 11 personnel. Maybe you need to use our new dual running back package to help open things up underneath to be able to get a little bit more aggressive. Whatever it is, we are going to live or die in the first half by whatever this script is. So one of the things I would say to pay attention to moving forward, excuse me, is how successful do we look? Are we having consistent, 9, 10, 11 play drives? Even if we're not getting touchdowns out of every one of those, are we able to go the length of the field at least, hit field goal range? Are we putting guys on their heels? Is the run game taking precedence over the pass game? Are we being consistent? Are we making big plays? Et cetera, et cetera. But in terms of this game from the Titans, this one was a tight game throughout the entire contest, right? One of the things that I'm proudest about, though, is the killer B tandem, Breece Hall and Braylon Allen. 100% look like a great, dynamic duo out there. Breece Hall, just the do-it-all ability. And again, I think as we've heard him speak about now through two contests, there's an acclimation period that's going on here for some reason. I think it's a little bit of so many different leaders that we've tried to have throughout the offseason, right? We obviously have Aaron Rodgers as the de facto guy, but now you have him trying to up the level of guys like Garrett Wilson, guys like Breece Hall, and put a little bit of that onus on them. And maybe the pressure's getting to them. Maybe it's just what it is, and that, that being the acclimation period while we try to adjust to an Aaron Rodgers-led offense, where everybody doesn't have to put everything on themselves like we've seen with the team under Zach Wilson. But Braylon Allen, man, he looks really, really good. Again, youngest guy in the NFL right now, for him to be able to put up multiple touchdowns, not only looking great on the ground, but also being able to be a physical presence in the receiving game. It didn't fall, on these eyes, as terrible as they are, that when you seen him touch the ball, there almost looked like there's a bit of hesitancy, right? For one, he's definitely quicker than he looks, or should be for his size, but definitely when he gets that ball and he already has a running start, you can kind of see some guys looking like not only are they making business decisions, but there's the calculations that are going on in your head about how do I bring this kind of force down, right? And most of that's going to be having to try to dive at the hips and the legs because he's going to run through arm tackles and things, right? So a little bit of protecting themselves, but also trying to make sure they're making a safe play against the likes of Braylon Allen. I'm a little curious about the Garrett Wilson connection here. So for as strong as it was throughout the offseason, we really haven't seen a takeover game from Garrett Wilson yet. I'm sure it's going to come 100%, but while he's moving the chains, while he is still making some exciting plays out there, I am waiting for that, look at the Marvin Harrison Jr. and, Kyler Murray first half they had, where I think he had, I don't know if it was all 4 of his receptions, but I think he had 2 of his 3, or he might have had 2 or 3 touchdowns. Either way, he had a huge first half. I think the majority of his yardage and all of his touchdowns came in that first half. I want to see a performance like that, and then I'm still also waiting to get a lot of our players into the game plan, or at least, producing when it looks like that opportunity is there, right? So I know we just got Tyler Conklin in. Braylon Allen obviously got more run in this game. We got to see Mike Williams get involved with the huge play that you would expect for him to come up with. the next step is decide, pick the threat, allow them to succeed, and then when teams try to adjust to shift coverage to those guys, let the next elite threat come in, right? And so we have the trifecta for that, I would argue. Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, Breece Hall, and then now you're seeing the secondary guys, I would argue, the Tyler Conklin and the Braylon Allens that should be able to come in and do things, right? Also, we haven't seen, much from Xavier Gipson outside of return, so I'm interested when we'll see him come in, since he did have a pretty strong connection with Aaron Rodgers over the offseason as well. Defensively, there's an issue here for us, and it goes beyond run defense, which I think we did a lot better job of today, but something's missing, right? And I don't know if it's the Hassan Reddick drama that's going on, because the caliber of opponents so far through 2 games, top team in the 49ers, and then the Titans, which I think is an underrated team, but not one that, they're not Super Bowl contenders, so we just put it bluntly, right? If the Jets aren't Super Bowl contenders, I would make that same point for the Titans here. I don't know what it is. Right now, there looks like there's definitely a lack of physicality, right? You can look at Sauce Gardner and the way he's providing coverage. When I look at MC2, it looks like he's still suffering through that ankle injury that he has. And for anybody that's had the type of injury, you 100% know that it's limiting you in some capacity. And so I don't think the normal aggressiveness with him is there either. He has to kind of play it a bit safe. And I don't think the same amount of burst is there. Obviously, we're lacking DJ Reed this game as well. And then you add into the fact that CJ Mosley, he has his toe injury. And I think it was undetermined if he'd be available for Thursday, although Robert Saleh, I want to say in the post-game presser, mentioned that he thinks his chances are good for him to show up. Jermaine Johnson, the biggest news coming out, in that it's highly likely he has an Achilles injury. We're going to be missing him, and now we're going to have all of the additional hype on Hassan Reddick once again, and for Joe Douglas to get a deal done, because it feels like this whole team is underperforming. Well, the whole defensive collective is underperforming. And so when most of us looked at this season, it was through the prism that this defense would be elite the entirety of the time, right? No adjustment period, no off days, no slowness, like we've seen through certain games last year. Start to finish, Aaron Rodgers helping out with there being more time of possession on the offensive side. We should be good to go, right? It's just about how much the offense can live up to their potential. That's not the case this year. And so if we're talking about, let's say, I would say this is generous enough, right? Objectively, let's say we have a somewhere between 14th and 20th ranked offense and a 14th to 20th ranked defense. That changes the whole conversation here for the New York Jets. Plus, we are already having to eat into depth that we didn't necessarily have the same level of confidence in as we did last year, right? When you want to talk about all the undrafted free agents that we picked up this year, and just the lack of major additions as a whole at positions like defensive tackle, at positions like safety, where at best it's been solid but unspectacular. So this was a good tune-up. Excuse me. We have to immediately turn around and start prepping for the Patriots, which suck because I doubt we'll see any significant movements between now and that Thursday game in terms of replacing what Jermaine Johnson will be able to do. So I'm assuming the expectation is an undrafted free agent guy will step into his place. Maybe we finally see Leonard Taylor, for example. But I don't know. A win is a win. Ultimately, I was definitely thrilled. It was an out-of-market game, so I couldn't catch it. But in real time anyways. But, the win is the win. One of the good things I will say is the presence of Aaron Rodgers, the calming mentality and fortitude to be able to still go out there and, get the job done, even when we're coming back from, multiple touchdown possessions, is at least something we can hang our hat on, right? My worst fear, though, just kind of long-term looking, is that we will turn into, I don't remember if it was last year or the year before, but the version of the Vikings where they were essentially winning, like 80% of their games that year by, I think it was less than 3 points in a lot of those games. It may have been 7, but nonetheless, single possession games. Not the situation I want to be in. But let me know what you guys thought about the game as a whole, and I'll catch you guys again. Peace.